all they can do is ape respect for masculinity. I mean, they tried to trot out Tim Walz as a man. Really, there are worse examples of men than Tim Walz, admittedly, but we might also point out
no one's coming to mind, but I'm sure theoretically.
Here is Jordan Peterson. He went on Megyn Kelly's podcast, and they talk about Tim Walz because, the Democrats are really realizing they have a problem with young men, particularly young white men. If you keep saying to people, you're bad because you're young, you're bad because you're a man, you're bad because you're white, over time, those people are not going to like you very much. Here's Jordan on that.
The Democrats, all they can do is ape respect for masculinity. I mean, they tried to trot out Tim Walz as a man. Really, there are worse examples of men than Tim Walz, admittedly, but we might also point out
no one's coming to mind, but I'm sure theoretically.
Well,
spend enough time
if you're looking for archetype of admirable masculinity, I wouldn't start with him.
I think about the Trump election, Jordan. I sat in this very studio that night with a bunch of young men from my son's high school. And there were 16, 17 of them. And we were up late. Trump, the election wasn't called until I think the 2 a.m. hour. And these guys, they didn't have to be a conservative or a Trump supporter to come here. Probably naturally, a lot of them just were. But when we called it for Trump, and I'm sure you saw this in your own world, but they weren't just like, yes. They were like this. Thank God. They were
yeah, right.
They were head in hands, like running their hands through their hair, like near tears. It was more than joy. It was like relief.
Relief, yeah. Well, could you imagine a 4-year term of Kamala Harris? And
no, but when I was
the LGBTQ crowd,
17,
oh my God.
These guys were that into it because they knew they had seen what happened, I think, to the class ahead of them and the one ahead of that and their older brothers and maybe their fathers.
Let me start with the Megyn part here because it's interesting. I had the same reaction. And for those of you, I think it was one of our biggest live streams ever, maybe our biggest live stream ever, was on election night, which I'm very proud of because obviously there were plenty of places that you could watch election coverage. But remember, towards the end of the night, and I went to bed at like 2 a.m. after 6 hours, and it hadn't even been officially called. We knew it was going in that direction, but when it was basically there, when we all started to breathe, like my reaction was not fist pumping joy. It was kind of like, thank God. The country can, thank God, here we are in Jerusalem. Hey, thanks, man. That's where we were. We were all feeling that we were so close to the precipice of losing the country. And as Jordan points out, imagine what 4 years under Kamala Harris would be like. Imagine what we would be all feeling now. All of the evil forces, the border would still be open. All of the evil forces as it pertains to everything happening in this part of the world as well, and everything happening in Russia and Ukraine, and all of the stuff, the woke crap that they were doing to your kids and everything else, all of that would be on steroids right now. Not only on steroids, but they would be then chasing after Donald Trump, both legally and in any other way that they could. The fate of the Western world was basically saved because of the election of Donald Trump. And you can even see that in Europe now because, as I was just in CPAC, Hungary, a place that's defending its own borders, they're now a tiny little country that is now looked at by freedom-loving people as, we better do what Hungary's doing. No one would have thought that. Hungary, a place that was occupied by both the communists and the Nazis not too long ago, actually completely crazy. So the relief that Megyn is talking about is absolutely true. And then as it pertains to the masculine part, look, the truth is, if you say to people all the time, you are inherently bad because you are a man, or you behave like a man. What should a man behave like? I don't know. A man should, how about act honorably and know what truth is and aim himself towards truth and protect the people that he loves and do some of those kind of things. And we can all talk on the margins about some other things about what masculinity really means. But you guys so went after all of those guys that now they are leaving you in droves. If you've been seriously injured, your case could be worth millions, and you should know exactly what your rights are. That's why I want to tell you about Morgan & Morgan. They're America's largest injury law firm with over over 1,000 attorneys working in all 50 states. Unlike a lot of firms that settle quickly, Morgan & Morgan doesn't take lowball offers from private insurance companies. Just in the past few months, they won $12 million in Florida when the insurance company offered only $350,000. And in New York, they secured $6.8 million on a case where the offer was just $275K. And the best part, it's absolutely free unless you win. Insurance companies try to pay out as little as possible. Morgan & Morgan fights to get you more. It only takes a few minutes to see if you have a case, and you can do it right from your phone. It's that easy.